5 drivers, 4 different constructors, and 1 championship crown. That is the setting for tonight's race. Hello everyone, and welcome back to EXA Season 10 Division 1 for the final round of the season. And it is the championship finale for the 5 drivers who is looking to claim the title. We're here at Abu Dhabi for the season finale, and with a epic title fight to go down tonight. The circuit is 3.2 miles long with 16 turns, 9 to the left and 7 to the right, with 2 DRS zones completing the circuit. He joined the F1 calendar back in 2010, where I saw Sebastian Vettel claim his first Formula 1 World Championship, and since has held every finale since 2013. I'm your commentator, Jamie Jackson. I'll be taking you through tonight's action as we enter qualifying very shortly. However, we do have some things to go over quickly. Last week's race results from our penultimate round. Andrea Hortensio took his second race victory in a row as he stomped on to victory by just 3/4 of a second over Larry Tolke. 14 positions gained from the Ferrari. Can he do it again tonight? Larry Tolke, like I say, second place ahead of Cameron Dowd, who took his maiden podium place in this season of EXA Division 1. Tamas Kokoni and Jensen Roshan finished 4th and 5th, while Tony Hirtella finished 6th despite taking race victory on track. A 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane ended his hopes of claiming that top spot on the podium. Dan McCarrill and Liam Stevens take 7th and 8th, or Alexi Caveira and Volteg Stick took the final 2 positions in the top 10. Formula Kai was the only other finisher. Well, that leaves us with the driver standings looking a bit like this. Larry Tolke leading the way by 1 point over Andrea Hortensio, while Diego Zorzo, who retired from league racing in general midway through this season, our clear championship leader, sits only 2 points back, but he's not racing tonight, so that voids him of the opportunity of taking the title. Tamas Cogney and Jensen Roshan and Pascal Ranelli are all in this championship fight, sitting 9, 21 and 22 points back, respectively, from Larry Tolke. The 3 in the standings of Larry, Andrew and Tamas seem to be the likely favourites in the championship. Don't forget the outside shots of Jensen Roshan and Pascal Ranelli tonight. Those are our championship contenders. 22 points, 26 up for grabs tonight. Yes, 26 up for grabs tonight. Who can take the title? Constructor standings looking like this, however. Ferrari lead the way by 32 points over Mercedes. Look to be set to be taking the championship. I actually don't know if there's 2 Mercedes here tonight, so I think they could have well and truly wrapped this one up before we even get into qualifying, but we continue on with that. But if we see that we go further down the grid, we see championship battles between the constructors of Williams and RB for 3rd place in the constructor standings, while Red Bull, Alpine, Haas, Aston Martin, McLaren and Sauber are in those positions in the constructors. 19 drivers. So you do have 2 Mercedes tonight. Okay, so we do have both. So we'll see if Mercedes can topple Ferrari, but I think the Ferrari's going to start from the back just because they like to come from the back of the grid and make their race interesting. Certainly like to do that, as well as for Ampaf and Zelta, who's deciding to retire from the session. But we'll quickly go back to the driver standings quickly. We see Larry Tolke leading the standings. Yes, please win by 1 point, but he's yet to win a race this season, whereas 2 are for Andrea Hortensio. In what has been a very solid season for him, he's claimed 3 podiums so far this season, 5 top 5s overall, 5, and for all 5 of them are top 10s. But yet has not qualified better than 15th, because he's just retired from the session every single qualifying session. So he likes to at the back, racing in 5 of the events as opposed to Larry, who's raced in 7. There you go, 6 top 5, 7 top 10s, has finished in the top 10 positions in every single race so far, but yet to score a win. Same for Tamas, same for Jensen Roshan. With Pascal Ranelli, the only other championship contender to claim victories this season, with Diego Zorzo and Luca Rapasso, who is no longer here, claiming the other 5 victories. So it'll be interesting to see whether Larry can manage to claim that victory on his way into the championship tonight, or will he claim the championship in another manner which doesn't involve victory? We'll see. but it's going to be very difficult to do so otherwise. It's the likes of Angelo, Thomas, Jensen and Pascal all trying to hunt him down. But we are going into qualifying for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. As everyone is going out onto the circuit, we will get some information up. Although it's very quiet. So we will go on to get some lap data. Who is the first driver to start a flying lap? It will most likely be a Mercedes of... I can't find the Mercedes. 610 Lintar, that's it, 610 Lintar. I was completely skipped over him. So he's going through the first sector now. He flies through turn 1, 2 and through now turn 3. Down towards turn 4, turn 5, that is technically. That little left-handed flick counts as a corner off the exit of the long right-hander. Now, the lock up there, we're going to go running down towards the end of the straight, one of the longest straights in the calendar. This is almost, sector 2 is basically almost 2 kilometres of flat-out running, with a chicane in between, plus the hairpin as well. Which wasn't really a major factor before they removed the chicane at the end of Sector 1, because it kind of came when they were all at similar speeds, at very low speeds, so it was more about the exit, and that wasn't really a thing. But now you've got to think about the entry and your braking point and a bit more, so it is a lot, really just 2 major straights with a couple with 2 braking points in between. But that is what Sector 2 is. We're going through towards the hotel section now. He's kept it nice and clean so far, this lap, Mercedes. Already a podium sitter this season, claiming it only a couple of rounds ago. Can 610 Lintar put himself into a position where he can do that again? Maybe take a victory. We'll see what happens with the Mercedes. He comes around the final corner up to the line, 21.5 from the Mercedes. He's our first time on the board. Who is going to be the next driver to cross the line? It will be... I think it is Rise Imtiaz. Imtiaz up towards the line, 21.3 from the RB, puts himself into P1. Who is next across the line? Is it Vortex-Deg? No, it is not Vortex-Deg. It is the other Red Bulls. So it will be either one of the Haas's and then the Williams of Jensen Rosen, or... yeah, Jensen Rosen up towards the line, close the line, 21.4, puts himself P2 at the moment, put out the 3 drivers who have set a time. Other drivers are still yet to come around and complete their laps. We saw there Larry Tolke had invalidated his first run, so that is not what we want to be seeing from the Alpine Championship leader. As he really should be wanting to get times on the board early. Thomas Cockney, one of the other championship contenders here tonight, 21.2, puts himself fastest, head of Jensen Rosen, who's in now P3, had his teammate for tonight. On track, it doesn't seem that they are on the standings still. I think they changed teams during the season, but we continue on. Gabriel Contino puts himself into P1 with a 21.1, puts himself just 100ths quicker than what we see from Thomas Cockney. We continue on to see the next couple of drivers that are coming around to start their flying lap and end their flying lap. We are going to go on to Alexia Guevara, who is going to be the next driver to cross the line. The Japanese special livery Red Bull around the final corner up the line. What does Alexia Guevara do? Only a 21.6, but very close, half a second. And there goes Gabor Santos. Gabor Santos puts a 21.1 in as well, only 100, a bit over 100 quicker than Gabriel Contino. And at the moment, this is going to be a crucial thing, because you're not going to have to just think about the 5 championship contenders here tonight. You have to think about all the other people, like Tony Herdella, who has put himself into a 21.1. The next driver to cross the line will be Larry Tolke, who is coming round to not start, who's coming into the pit lane. So after that, it will be the sub of Lucas Bessina. Bessina currently invalidated his lap time. The Williams also on a slow moving lap, so it will be next another driver that is an Aston Martin, who is currently flying through, but unfortunately for him, he gets caught up in a little bit of traffic. Stephen Vasso, it will be the next driver who hasn't set to actually know. It'll be Damien Carril, who's coming round sector 3 under the hotel now. What sort of time do we expect from the McLaren as we go into the penultimate corner up towards the braking zone of the final corner? He comes across the line now. What time do we expect? They do 21.3, P5 from Damien Carril as we now go up towards P5. Very good job from the McLaren. Is now we see the next couple drivers just kind of getting themselves now prepped for for their second runs, which should come up very, very shortly. And that should become it should really set the tone for the second runs of the session, really, because at the moment everyone's set their first runs, but at the end of the day they're going to have a little bit of leeway in what sort of times they're doing, some of them, some more than others, so it will give opportunity for them to push harder later on and see what they can really push out of this session. As we see the next few drivers. Next driver coming out onto the circuit, it will be a Williams, and it will be, maybe, is it Tamas? No, it isn't Tamas, it is Jensen Rosen, who is coming out the pit lane to to kick off the second runs from these drivers. Currently P7, 21.4. As at the moment, he's going to try and get himself into a bit of clean air. Make sure that he has the tyres in the correct operating window as we go through towards the second runs, because at the end of the day, second runs are very crucial in determining whether you're confident going not just into the final run, but also throughout the rest of the session. Because if you get this lap nailed, it's going to really help you come the end in at least minimising damage if the final run gets ruined. But if you scrap the second run, all the pressure is on that final lap. As these first ones, banker laps at the end of the day. As you see, the rest of the field begin to come out the pit lane to start their out laps as well. So hopefully for Jensen Rosen, he does not get caught up in any sort of traffic. As he now comes round the penultimate corner and the final corner to start his flying lap. Can the Williams put himself in a better position than P7? He's about to find out. He goes down towards turn 1, braking right on that curb. You've got to be careful though not to ride the curb too harshly that you end up bottoming out and unable to get the braking zone correct, but he continues to do that nicely, cutting to the inside of turn 3 and then braces turn 4's curb into turn 5 now, using as much entry curb as possible to get a better exit, using as much exit curb possible to make sure you maximise your speed throughout the corner. DRS now for these drivers, for Jensen Rosen, as he goes up towards the braking zone, sticking as far to that corner as possible, flicks the car in as harshly as you possibly can. Tries to keep it steady, has a little bit of wobble on the exit, trying to find the traction, manages to do so, but is that going to be costly as we run down towards the end of sector 2? Currently, he is 200ths up on his personal best. Throws the car into the long hairpin, managing to get a good exit now, using up all that battery all the way up to the triple right-hander as he goes into the braking zone. Can he manage to keep the car nice and tidy now as he goes under the hotel? Just got it's almost like one long corner now. He hesitated there a little bit though as he saw the drivers really starting to get themselves prepped for their flying lap. He wanted to make sure neither of them came across him. 21.2 for Jensen Rosen, puts himself P5, and is not going to be enough for the Williams to push himself into a better position for later on as the drivers all now start to put their second laps in. Is there going to be opportunity here for these drivers? Tom Roberts currently P10 at the moment, nearly 2 tenths up in the first 2 sectors. And can he manage to prove through towards sector 3 into the triple right-hander, braking nicely, no sign of lockups there, as now we head into the double left-hander under the hotel and onto the exit. Is it going to be a very wide line there? Yes, as he tries to make sure he maximises every part of this circuit and a little bit more. Gets a bit of a twitch on the exit to try and get the power down, nearly 4 tenths up, puts himself P5 ahead of Jensen Rosen, who are 21.2 himself. Red flag after quali. Okay, thank you for letting me know. So we will see the drivers I think the session restart in a new lobby. So at the moment that we may have a bit of a break, but normally we'll go straight into it. We will continue on at the moment. Who is the next driver to cross the line? It will be either Gabriel Santos or Tony Hirtella. It's Tony Hirtella, who is currently going around sector 3 up towards the line. It's an improvement. It is an improvement by half a tenth. 21-0 from him. We see Raz Imtiaz into P6 himself. We see a load of other drivers coming through as well. Next will be a Red Bull of either Vortex Steg. It will be Vortex Steg up towards the line. 600s down, doesn't improve. Next up towards the line, it will be I'm not sure if Abdul is supposed to be here. He seemed to join in the session. 21-3 from Damien Real at the moment. As we continue on, we see Tamas go P2 with an excellent run there from him for 21-1. We see the Alpine of Larry Tolkien for 21-1 as well. 3 drivers within 200s of each other. 3 or 4 drivers in 200s each other. Mate Gabriel Coutinho goes 21-1. Next up across the line, is it Lucas Bessina? No, it isn't. It is Tom Roberts who's coming into the pit lane. So it will be Gabriel Santos who's coming up to the line next. That isn't going to improve his time. It is going to be the Mercedes next time round. Will it be 610 in part? He's currently a second down, 3 seconds down. So it will not be him. Stephen Vasso currently invalidated on his lap. As we continue on, as we now continue on, and these drivers are just trying to now find time when necessary. I think Stephen Vasso is using this as an opportunity to see where he would put himself currently. If that was a legitimate time minus the millimeter off the circuit, it could have very well seen him go pole, but we'll see if that made a massive difference. We're going to see all the drivers now come into the pit lane as they all just get themselves prepped for the final runs. It is going to be an opportunity to see whether these drivers can who is going to take pole, because currently our championship rivals Tamas P3, Larry P5, Jensen P8, and then the Ferraris of Ranelli and Hortensio of 17th and 20th. So it'll be interesting to see whether the drivers who are in the session in the championship fight can maximise this opportunity and put a breathing space between Ranelli and Hortensio tonight, as everyone comes into the pit lane to get themselves all prepped. So with that, in mind, we are now just going to sit and wait, and so everyone gets themselves all prepped. It will be a brief wait. It will be a brief moment of relaxation as we for these drivers. Well, I say for the drivers will not be relaxing. They'll be preparing themselves, making sure the setup is all perfect. If there's any slight changes they can make, that make a massive difference. But it at the end of the day could cause a offset, if anything. At the moment, we see the drivers begin to make their way out the pit lane, and the first driver to do so, Alexi Cavero, comes out of the pit lane and will be the first driver to attempt a final run of the season, as these drivers are really cutting it fine at the moment. As now we are just getting ourselves prepped for these final runs of the season, the last qualifying laps of the season for Division 1 of Season 10 of EXA. are millimeters away from the white line in every single one of these flying laps, and if they overstep the boundaries with how close these drivers are, 6/10 cover the 15 drivers who have set times. With how close this is, you could very much see one driver could have been P2 down to P14. It could be anything. It could be pole and it could be P10. It could be, that's how much of a difference we are talking about. And now we have got ourselves into a position where now we're just now waiting for Alex Guevara to get going and get ourselves prepared as we now see the drivers get themselves already. Everyone seems to be finding themselves some space. Alex Guevara has found that space, and here we go. Alex Guevara into turn one, goes the Red Bull. The Japanese special liveried Red Bull goes through in turn one, nicely done into turn two and through three now. Just got to keep it tight to the line on the exit of turn four. As now we run down towards the end of sector one, currently nearly a tenth up, lock up into turn five. As we exit turn five though, looks to get a decent run. However, it is now a nearly 2 kilometer run between now and the end of sector 2 with a chicane in between, one of the most crucial braking points on the circuit. Can they get it right into the chicane? Yes they do, as we go through 6 and then 7, and the keeps up the gears as we run down through 8 up towards turn 9. DRS will be enabled for the Red Bull as it will slam shut now, and it loses time in sector 2, but he's still up on his personal best. He'll go by the Aston Martin, who lets him through quite cleanly as we now run through the triple right hander into the Titan final part of it. Lock up there would be costly as well as we got under the bridge onto the exit of the final couple of corners, into the penultimate corner, flat through there, into the final corner. Got to keep it nice and tidy as he goes through the exit. Massive snapper oversteer, puts himself a tenth quicker, but maybe have lost time at the end. 21.5 is all that Alex Guevara could do. P14 start for the Red Bull, who is going to be the next driver to cross the line. It will be our current provisional pole sitter, Tony Hietala, nearly 800s up in the first 2 sectors. Is it going to be enough to go even faster? He goes nearly over 10 quicker, 20.9, and that is in the first driver and the only driver into the 20.9. Next up, Voltex Steg, who comes up towards the line, goes P12 in a very good run from him. Next up will be Imtiaz, goes P2, 21.0. Next up, Abdallah goes 21.0. Williams driver up next, Jesse Rosen 21.1. The Mercedes of 610 Lindhart maybe. Oh, he goes into the pit lane. You see a couple of drivers entering the pit lane now. Next up, Larry Tolke up towards the line. Is that going to be enough? Nearly a tenth quicker. Doesn't get pole, but 21.0 puts himself P4. Next across the line, the Sauber of Tom Roberts puts himself P9 to end his session. Next up, the couple more Williams. Taras Gokney only a 21.1. So that means guaranteed that Larry Tolkien will be the best positioned front runner as he goes P4. But is it going to be P4 for long? Because Gabriel Quintino is going round the final couple of corners. Can he make enough of improvement to move himself into P4? He goes pole! 20.9 by 300ths of a second. Gabriel Quintino takes pole position for the finale of Abu Dhabi of Division 1 Season 10. Ahead of Tony Hietala, while Abdallah Bolaki P3, MTS P4, Larry Tolkien P5, Stephen Vasso in P6, and Larry Tolkien will lead the championship rivals, but will have intense and fierce competition in this final part of qualifying. Gabriel Quintino P1, Tony Hietala P2, Abdallah Bolaki P3, Ray's Imtiaz P4, Larry Tolkien P5, Stephen Vasso P6, Lawrence Patton P7, Thomas Cockney, Jensen Russell P8 and P9, Gabriel Santos P10, Tom Roberts, Demi Carrillo, Vortex Stick, Luca Vesna, 610 Lindhart, Alex Guevara, Florian Papanzelta, Pascal Ranelli, Liam Stevens, and Angelo D'Ortenzio. That is our grid. 20 drivers who can take victory here tonight in the finale, and who will take the championship. We will be prepared to find out. We will restart the session now after qualifying. We will retire at the start of the race, so we'll hopefully see everyone get themselves prepared. It will take a moment, so we'll just get everyone to restart. As now we see everyone just get themselves into a relaxed state, because now we need to restart the session. Hopefully it won't take us too long. I may pause the session here and just get ourselves ready for the race in just a few moments time, so we'll be back in a second. Hello everyone, we are back. Sorry for the delay. We are now back live for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We are getting into the session now. The drivers will get their setups on, their strategy done, their fuel their fuel all set up as well, their fuel load. You've got to make sure this is all right. Just a reminder, 5-way championship flight. Heading into this finale, you got Larry Tolke, Angelo D'Ortenzio, Thomas Cockney, Jensen Roskin and Pascal Ranelli all fighting out for the title. 22 points. Up is the gap between the first and, well, technically sixth driver in the standings between the 5 of them. But 25 points are up for grabs tonight. It is more likely at the moment got Larry Tolke, Angelo D'Ortenzio, Thomas Cockney as your drivers. Diego Sorzo, he has retired. Just a reminder from league racing, so he will not be participating tonight. So we've got 3 drivers for 9 points of each other, while Jensen Rosen and Pascal Ranelli stand an outside chance here tonight. We are here. We are in Abu Dhabi. We've just done qualifying. As we can see the grid quickly. I'll go right on to the actual race director. Gabriel Coutinho took pole position ahead of Tony Hirtella. Reyes Imtiaz P3 ahead of Larry Tolke, who is the highest sitting championship contender in P4. In Vasso in P5 ahead of Lawrence Patton, Thomas Cockney and Jensen Rosen, while Cockney and Rosen in the Williams are second and third place drivers in the championships, out the championship contenders, who are looking to claim the title. Gabriel Santos 9th, while Tom Robertson P10, Damien Carrillo in P11, Voltec Steg in P12, Luca Bessner in P13, Sistendin Tart P14, Lex Guevara in P15, Florence Bafan Zelta in P16, who did not set a time. Same with Pascal Ranelli, who is currently in the championship fight. Same for Liam Seamers and Angelo D'Ortenzio, and is just at the back, just to make sure we don't have anyone else join. We're going to get going, 5 red lights, and we're on the way for the finale. That's Gabriel Coutinho. He has a decent start, but so does Tony Hirtella. They go into turn 1. They're going to go side by side. Is there any opportunity for Tony to get by? No, he doesn't. Gabriel Coutinho manages to maintain the lead. We're going to continue on now. See Raz Imtiaz keep P3, while Stephen Vassar's got ahead of Larry Tolke into P4. Here, got to be careful here, because at the moment we are looking at a very difficult race. We're going to see 3 wide action further back. I say it goes Hamas, who goes into P4. He jumps Stephen. He jumps Larry. Gabriel Santos has moved up ahead of Larry as well. So Tamas has put himself in a prime position because he's now side by side with Stephen Vasso. As we go into the chicane, is there an opportunity for Stephen to come back at the Williams? He's unable to do so as Tamas manages to keep ahead of the Mercedes. He's going to now try and put a bit of pressure on Raz Imtiaz. At the moment, the RB has got the Williams all over the back of him. He dives up the inside. Is there going to be a move? Not quite there. Very late movement, but he couldn't quite get anything done there as the RB stays in the lead. At the moment, it'll be surprised to see if a 2-stop worked. If we see a 2-stop, it did work in the lower division, but at the moment we're going to see whether these drivers continue to manage the pace. They've got to be careful with how they run their tyres as well, because they do not want to push them too hard and force themselves into a 2-stop. There's currently Lawrence Patton, one of the other Alpine, has fallen to the back of the field at the moment. Gabriel Coutinho leads the way ahead of Tony Hirtella, while Raz MTS puts P3, while Tamas now leading the way. Pascal Ranelli is out of the session. He's retired in the pit lane, so is Lawrence Patton. So that is already one of our championship contenders out of the race and out of the championship hunt. He was 22 points back and our furthest back contender. Meanwhile, Tamas up the inside into chicane. Is that going to be an opportunity? The game ghosts him in trying to make sure there wasn't any contact. But at the moment, Tamas trying everything to maximise the opportunity at his hand at the moment. Currently sitting 9 points back from Larry Tolke. Is it going to be an opportunity here tonight to try, and I mean try, snatch this title away in the last dying moments? He knows he's got to get a move on because he's got Angelo D'Ortenzio currently P12 already, started P19. Is it going to be an opportunity now for D'Ortenzio to move his way into championship contention? He's right behind Jensen Rosen as well in his championship contending fight, but at the moment these guys are really starting to push themselves and they're trying to find themselves into a position where they can comfortably sit, but there's not going to be any sort of comfortably sitting for the drivers further back, because up the inside of Vodtek Steg goes Liam Stevens. He tries to make the move stick. Vodtek Steg stays in P13 at the moment. It's a Red Bull and Aston Martin continue to fight on the back end of the points. Is there going to be opportunity here for these drivers to move move their way into higher points contending positions. We're going to see now as we go back to the battle for P1. Gabriel Quintana holding off Tony Hietala, Raz Imtiaz also in the podium spot. Tamas has got to really try and get some get past a couple more of these drivers. He really wants to take this championship, but in doing so, he needs to put himself in a higher position possible and put him all as far out of reach of his rivals of Dortencio, Tolke and Rosen. Here we go to the inside. We see Tamas go. He's ignore me. Tamas gonna have to deal with Stephen Vasso. He bounced across the curb. That sent Stephen Vasso as far off the circuit as possible, but he couldn't keep it on as he tried to avoid the Williams. And at the moment, we see Gabriel Santos move up to P5, sorry, as Tamas moves down to P6. At the moment, it is going to be game on for these drivers. Can Tamas try and move his way back into those two positions again? Because at the moment he's fallen back down the field and put himself back out of championship winning conditions. Because at the moment he's now P6 and Larry Tolke in P8. Is there going to be an opportunity though for Tamas to try and regain position? Tom Roberts up the inside into the final corner. Rare you see that move as Tamas falls off the circuit. Oh my god, there's contact there midway through, and that's thrown Tamas completely out of it and full front wing damage. You can see the frustration on Tamas there, and that is utterly devastating for Dan Skokny, as he now falls to the back of the field with full front wing damage, and Tom Roberts is now into P6 after that contact, and that is very unfortunate. Larry Tolke now leading the championship rivals in P7. We see Lucas Bessina trying to fight off Andrea Dortencio as Larry Tolke is trying to find his way into a race. He's to try and find his way back up the field after a very poor start. However, he is on the hard compound of tyres in comparison to medium runners that surround him. MTS though is the highest of the hard runners on in currently P3. As we go through sector 2, we see Lucas Bessina trying to defend against Angelo Dortencio, who's up the inside into the long hairpin and stop sector 3. As a Ferrari moves his way up to P8 from P19. Very good job from the Ferrari, and at the moment he's right behind the driver who is only a single point behind in the championship standings. It is all to play for here. Is it going to be the opportunity for Angelo Dortencio to make his chances even stronger when if he passes Larry Tolke here, while Larry is on the hards, he's on the mediums? It is going to be a very different race to what we saw last week though. We saw Angelo on the harder compound of tyres in comparison to Larry in previous. However, it will be a chance for Angelo to try and make sure he gets by and pulls at least a couple position gap in comparison. As you see, diving up the inside is Florian Pafanzelta. We see he trying to get past Lucas Bessina, but Pafanzelta is not trying to give this one up easy, as the drivers now all get themselves out of any sort of dirty air. We see Florian Pafanzelta contact with the Ferrari of Angelo Dortencio, and this has almost cost him position, almost spun him around it, half spun him, but the Ferrari continues on his way. We see the RB and the Sauber ghosting in between each other, but at the moment Pafanzelta almost took the Ferrari out. It's side by side between the RB and the Sauber. Around the outside tries Lucas Bessina, he pushes him off the circuit. Pafanzelta pushes the Sauber off the circuit as he tries to find a way back by Dusty Sauber. He can't do anything at the moment. Massive oversteer there from the RB, but Lucas Bessina trying everything possible at the moment to get a move done. Who can't get anything back, get back by, and that has left the RB with P9, P10 for the Sauber. Liam Stevens and Voltec Steg still going and having a battle. Liam Stevens moves up to P12 ahead of Voltec Steg as he goes down to P13. Off the circuit goes Lucas Bessina again. A couple of other drivers as well following suit, but these drivers are really trying everything they possibly can. Liam Stevens gains himself a 10-second time penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage, gaining a place. So at the moment we're going to that is really going to completely affect him and throw him out the points of the few points he at the moment has. You see the drivers all now kind of just trying to stick out of DRS range, not DRS range, slipstream, because they don't want to burn up the engine. They don't want to find that any sort of difficulty. As Liam Stevens goes off the circuit after battling for Steg, Liam Stevens drops to the back of this 16 car train. Nice to see though that Tamas is still going. He knows he's got to stay in this race if he wants to win the title. Currently though, he's got a long way to go in this race if he wants to win that. He's got, however, he will not give up at the moment. Larry Tolke, as things stand, will take the title by just a couple points. Is that gonna last like that for long though? Because Dortencio is right on his back end, currently 6 tenths behind the Alpine. It is now the French versus the Italians. It is Larry Tolke versus Angelo Dortencio for the title. Jensen Rosen currently sitting in P11. He's currently P5 in the standings, 21 points behind in the standings heading into this race. Unfortunately for him, it's become harder ever since qualifying, with especially with Angelo Dortencio making his way up through the field. So now we will see as the drivers continue on their way slipstream for and DRS for every single driver in this train, but not really much anyone can do as they all just kind of prepare themselves and get their tyres in check at the moment, because they do not want to be doing a 2-stop. They want to be doing a 1-stop preferably to try and maximise track position later on. At the moment, the drivers are just trying to also make sure that their engine is not overheating. And at the moment, it is just a constant battle between the in terms of making sure your tyres do not deg, do not overheat the engine, and make sure you do not lose out too much time to the car in front, or lose position to the car behind. At the moment, it is still anyone's game, but Larry Tolke and Angelo Dortencio are really the championship contenders. We got battle for the race win, but battle for the championship is still very much on, as we see the gap begin to get closer and closer as we go through the second, well, into the second third of this race very shortly. But at the moment, it is still just about management. It is just about making sure you can, and I mean it can, get to the end on a 1-stop strategy if you if you are planning on doing so. The drivers all just sit in line astern at the moment as we continue on through the rest of this stint. However, with the best driver sitting in terms of hard running, sitting in 3rd position, that tyre deficit of being on the harder compound tyres will soon begin to flip back towards them towards the end of the medium runner stint, and make sure that as it kind of brings the hard runners back into play for a little bit longer. However, they will have to deal with the medium later on. However, they do have the opportunity to run longer on those hards if they feel they can, and if they feel they need to, because the mediums around here are not as strong as you might percept. The hards can certainly run for a lot longer than you think they could, as they got a lot more tyre life in them, and the grip is quite surprising for that as well. So at the moment, we go into the end of sector 1 for lap 9 of 29. These drivers are trying to just manage, but they also need to know they need to get out of the field, particularly if you're Larry Tolke at the moment. Yes, you're currently sitting ahead of your championship rival, but you do not want to be stuck behind Tom Roberts at this stage in the race. And Tom Roberts just managing to hold the Alpine in position, and he's just trying to make sure he is trying to find his way through at the moment. Does the Alpine? He wants to put a car between him and his rival Angelo Dortencio in the prancing horse behind him. Is there going to be an opportunity here for Larry to make a move? Nothing to be done there at the moment as we head into sector 3. And at the moment, it is just a waiting game for these drivers as we go through into sector 3. It is not really, and there's no real opportunity to make any overtakes unless there is either a stark tyre difference or on the opening 2 laps, because by that point everyone is now settled in. They know where their braking points are. Even after a lap they know exactly where their braking point is for every single turn. But if there is any doubt, that second lap is always a crucial one for any last major movements, as before they all settle in and make sure their tyres are all sorted, because you can see if they burn out their tyres too early, it will certainly cause them to fall down the field. We've seen it a couple times this season where drivers have burnt out their tyres and they have been unable to hold on to that pace, and their pace falls off of a cliff. We go down towards the chicane now. Everyone just trying to find a bit of clear as we go down towards the chicane, just to keep their engine temps at bay at the moment is all about preservation. We start to see, though, there is a gap between Gabriel Coutinho and Tony here, Taylor, in comparison to Raz Imtiaz. He's grown to about 9 tenths, nearly a second now on the exit of the hairpin. Is this going to be an opportunity for the top 2 to break away in the DRS train as we go through? Is the game audio really quiet? Because I can chuck it up if it actually needs to. I can chuck it out quickly, hold on. Because I thought it was quiet on my end, but I haven't changed any settings. I do apologise. And thank you, Gio Fodor, for actually telling me I'm changing in this right wrong. I do appreciate that. Is that audio better now, or is it a bit quiet? Because I'm trying to. I don't know what I've done to change the audio, so I do apologise if the audio is a bit quieter. If it is still too quiet, I'll turn up even more. But let me know as we go through. Gabriel Coutinho leading the way ahead of Tony Hietala, Raz Imtiaz P3, Gabriel Santos in P4. Larry Tolke P5, Andrea Dortencio P6, Florian Pafanzelta, Lucas Bassiner in P8, Patricia Rosen P9, Vortex Steg in P10. As that leaves us with 16 Lindhart, Damien Gabriel, Liam Stevens, and Stephen Vasson and Tom Roberts as our 15 drivers. I do think we've missed a slight bit of drivers actually. I do apologise. As we now see Gabriel Coutinho leading the way. Angelo Dortencio, as we see the drivers all have come into the pit lane of Stephen Vasser and Tom Roberts. That's why they've fallen to the back, because they've pitted for a new set of hard tyres. As we now. Very close, but it's not a big issue. I mean, I can still turn it up even more, to be honest. It was very quiet on my end, so. I'm just trying to make sure the audio is correct. I'm not sure why the audio has gone very quiet of the game, because it's been fine for me for a while, but I don't know. There you go. Well, that goes. That's a bit louder. So we see a couple of drivers all coming into the pit lane to all serve their first pit stops of the session. As at the moment, Tony Hietala, Raz Imtiaz, Gabriel Santos, Larry Tolke, Angelo Tortencio. Now your top 5 after a couple pit stops for the medium runners. 3 drivers still yet to complete their medium running pit stops, including Tony, Gabriel, and Angelo Tortencio. They try to run longer in this race. Drivers pitted on lap 10 and 11, trying to go longer. Why is it not? Okay, I'm not sure why it's not coming through then. Okay. It's coming from OBS, so it might be something I have to look into. Okay, no worries. As to why it's not coming through on your, like, it's from stream. Okay, that's fine. Very odd. We're going to continue on now. Tony Hietala leads the way, but he will probably end up coming into the lane at the end of this stint. Thank you for the compliment, mate, as well. And let me know about the audio. I'll have a look into it. As we see Gabriel Santos come into the pit lane, that is the first of the harnesses, and surprisingly, it's the one in third place and currently behind the race leader. Currently, Tony Hietala going even longer on the mediums. He seems to have managed those mediums long enough that he can go the extra lap and keep up a good pace. But at the moment, it is looking like he might come back, lose the track position in comparison to his rivals. Gabriel Coutinho is stuck with Stephen Vasso, who is currently in P10 and P11. That could lead to Tony losing out on track position. However, it is opportunity for him to try and take it back later in the race. To the lead goes Raz Imtiaz take the lead away from the medium running Tony here. Taylor at the moment just got to try and manage his pace to the end of this lap. At the moment, we're going to see as Tony Hirtella and Raz Imtiaz just try and hang on now. See how long they can go on their tyres. But two very different strategies. Tony has got to pit very soon at some point, because at the moment those tyres will be screaming unless he has become some sort of Jensen reincarnation. Tony is trying everything he can to make sure those tyres last. However, he is beginning to fall off the pace of the hard runners at the moment. Yeah, Gabriel, Stephen and Tom all boxed at the end of lap 10, with the rest of the medium runners all pitting at the end of lap 11 as Tony comes into the pit lane now. At the moment, we see Larry Tolke, Jensen Rosen to resume in position, and Angelo Hortensio comes into the pit lane as well, becomes the other last two medium runners to fall into the pit lane. Is where they're going to come out in comparison to their rivals, as Gabriel Coutinho will come out clear in the lead of the drivers who are have made the pit stop so far. But at the moment, is that going to be enough? Because where is Tony and D'Angelo Hortensio going to come out? They're going to come out in P15 and P16 on track at the moment, but that puts themselves with much fresher tyres than their rivals. Alex Cavero 6 lap old hards compared to people who've just pitted for new hards themselves. And at the moment, it's a game of management. It is a game of making sure you can get to the end. We're going to see in terms of Jensen Rosen, can he get ahead of Vortex Stick? Went from Larry to not take the undercut against Larry is on hard tyres in comparison, so he will have the better run in comparison of tyre strategy on mediums later in the race. You can see the tyres if you wish to see them. Currently 13 lap old hards for the top 6 drivers, as we see some battling. As we see, that is Liam Stevens has gone down. I was hoping that was not Gabriel Godino. Fortunately for Liam Stevens, he has dropped to the back of the field, but at the moment it will continue on. We see Jensen Rosen, Vortex Steg, 16 Lindhart, Damien Carrillo, for 14 lap old hards, as well as the top 2 of Raz MTS and Larry Tolke. Everyone else has pitted but has done some different laps. Liam Stevens, yeah, unfortunately for him, has ended up not having the best of races, unfortunately for him, and he's kind of put himself, it has a very sticky situation of being on older hards and have already pitted earlier on. Alex Cavero currently gets another 3-second time penalty. We got a 3-second time penalty added to his name, as at the moment we see the drivers all just kind of just sitting at the DRS train, nothing much that can be done. However, we are seeing battling further back between Alex Cavero, Tony Hirtella trying to make a move past the Red Bull as he moves past with DRS. As he goes into P12, Tony is trying to fight back through the field on fresher, hard compounded tyres in comparison to the drivers who are yet to, who pitted a couple laps earlier, and trying to build himself a gap as Gabriel Coutinho moves up the P8 ahead of Tom Roberts. Tom Roberts at the moment dropping down to P9. Gabriel Coutinho is trying to put himself as big of a, as many cars between him and Tony and Angelo D'Ortenzio in an opportunity, and hopefully build a gap between him and the current hard runners who will go on to mediums later in the race and try and build himself a bigger margin. We've got currently lap 16 of 29 at the moment. As we go through towards the into the second half of the race now, as at the moment these drivers are just trying to make sure their tyres are in the correct condition, and not, they're trying to push them but not make the push ruin the tyres too much, but you're trying to make sure you put as much of a gap between your rivals and build up some form of margin between the likes of Raz MTS, Larry Tolke, Jensen Rosen, Vortex Steg, 16 Lindhart and Damien Carrillo. As at the moment, Stephen Vasso currently actually is actually the lead of those runners. He's currently on. Oh, that's a big oversteer moment there. That is going to be costly from the Mercedes. As Steven Vasso, 3-second time penalty to boot, is going to be costly because he can now lose that position through Gabriel Contino for P7, and unfortunately, it is a very, very unfortunate day for the Aston Martin, as Steven Vasso was leading out of the newly put on hard runners who have already made the stops, but unfortunately for him, it's ended up costing him track position that is crucial, and he had a 3-second time penalty as well. So yes, it wouldn't have meant on track at that moment. He was looking to an opportunity to try and build that gap as we enter a 4-car train at the moment in the next lap or so. And at the moment, it is still not over yet. At the moment, Razzie MTS leads by nearly 3 seconds over Larry Tolkien, our championship leader at the moment. Is on a hard compound tyre, but his championship rivals have already pitted. Currently down in P12. And one of his championship rivals, Andrew Hortensio, is currently down in P12, already pitted. Jenson Rosen has not at the moment. However, we are about to come across some traffic for these drivers. So we go into the chicane now. Is there an opportunity for Quintino to make his way past the McLaren? And the first of the 4 drivers who are on the older compound of hards. He goes to the outside. Does he make the move stick as he goes around the outside? No sort of fighting there from Carril. But the McLaren continues to write his day and puts himself a car between him and Steven Vasso. As Steven Vasso now up the inside makes it way past the Papaya car to supremely better tyre conditions at this moment in the race. Is there going to be an opportunity there for the Aston Martin to try and get a move done against the Mercedes in front of him, because he's got a Mercedes behind him hunting him down? Is there going to be an opportunity here for Quintino to move as he goes to the outside to try and get a move done into the pit lane? These all come, and all 4 of them come into the pit lane. Tom Roberts has retired from the session and has left the session, and that has caused a virtual safety car. Potentially the worst possible time for the drivers who are out on track, because all these drivers now have the opportunity, who are coming to pits, to not lose nearly as much time, and that has potentially thrown the championship in the favour of Larry Tolkien, who yes is now behind his rival of Andrew Hortensio, but is much closer than what he was, what he should have been if there wasn't a VSC. And at the moment, they currently sit 10 seconds outside of race leader, and we will get underway. Green flag pretty much on cue, and at the moment we're about to get back underway with Damon Carril trying to make his way back by, and he does make his way by 610 Lindhart. Pavan Zelta is now side by side with his teammate of MTS. Pavan Zelta contact with the curb, contact with his teammate, and at the moment Pavan Zelta has dropped down to P7, but Razzie MTS is now P6. He's on the medium compound tyres. He's going to be right with Andrew Hortensio, who is currently in P5, but he's on fresh compound tyre mediums in comparison to 4-lap-old hards. And at the moment, it is opportunity for Raz Imtiaz to try, and I mean try and take this victory. Tony Canatella gets a 3-second time penalty for his troubles, currently sitting in P4, just ahead of the Ferrari of Hortensio, but that is not going to help him in his championship, in his chance to try and take victory. We've currently got a race leading trio at the moment of Gabriel Contino, Steven Vasso, Gabor Santos, then Tony Canatella and Andrea Hortensio follow closely behind. But at the moment, there's 3-second time penalties beginning to unfold with drive-through penalty for Carril and Lindhart down the field. Unfortunately for them, it has not been a healthy VSC for them as we continue through towards the hairpin now. Is there going to be an opportunity there for the Ferrari to get by? He's going to brake later. He's going to go wider on the entry to get a better exit and get a better run. In comparison to Haas, there's not much the Haas could have done there, because if he defended, it would have made it even easier for the Ferrari to try and get by, because here comes the DRS, here comes the Screwdriver, the branching holds to the inside to try and move up to P4. He does move up to P4. At the moment, we see Andrew Hortensio move up the P4. We're going to see battling between the top three, but nothing really happening as things stand. We're going to see Hietala, Hortensio side by side around the outside. Goes Hietala. He tries to make the move stick. Nothing he can do there because this is going to allow Imtiaz to try, and I mean try and get past him, try and get back by, but he can't do anything here. Tony diving up the inside, contact with the Ferrari. That's going to allow him to go side by side into the hotel section. Nothing he could done there as the RB uses his supremely better traction to get the exit into the hotel and manages to get ahead of Tony into P6 position, and Tony drops down, or into P5. Tony drops down to P6. This is going to be Larry has taken the opportunity at the moment, going to try and take the opportunity to try and get past Florian Papanzelta and Tony Hietala. He's got to try and push. He's got to make sure he can get by these drivers quickly. At the moment, it is going down to the wire with lap 20 of 29. Gabo Santos is side by side with Stephen Vasso. Stephen Vasso has dropped down to P3 now. Gabo Santos up to P2. It's going to be Gabo Santos or Stephen Vasso. Who's going to? As they're going to go DRS for DRS. As both of them have got DRS. As Gabriel Coutinho leads the two. At the moment, nothing can be done there. As Raz Imtiaz moves up there, we're going to see Florian Papanzelta go side by side with the Haas of Tony Hietala, who drops down one position, maybe two positions, as Larry Tolkien is trying to get by and move his way into P7. He does move his way into P7, potentially P6 by the end of this straight, because he's going to have DRS, but so does the RB. As at the moment, the RB makes it very, very difficult for the Alpine to try and get by. He can't get by as we continue on. There should be a mix of tyres. You can see the tyres again. As we see, Larry, Jensen, Damien and Voltec all on mediums. You see side by side between the Alpine and the RB. He's trying to get a cut back on the exit of the hotel. He does, but he's going to be on the outside for the penultimate corner. Is that going to be enough of a move? He's going to go to the outside. Is it going to be enough? He's still on the outside line, but there isn't much he can do. Contact between Papanzelta and Larry, but Larry is not giving this one up. He's going to push the RB out of frustration, and he moves up the P6 as Tony Hietala moves back up to P7 as they're still fighting as they go off the circuit now, as Tony tries to fight contact between them two and Lucas Bassina, and Bassina is off the circuit. All three are off the circuit. And that is absolutely devastating for Tony and Florian. Lucas Bassina managed to get away with minimal problems, but at the moment now is a very, very unfortunate day move for them drivers, as Jensen Rosa moves up to P7 as Lucas Bassina has now decided, I think, to back off entirely. He knows he maybe was at fault for that one. What happened? A lot of contact between drivers, as we see Vortex Steg and Tony Hietala trying to go side by side. Vortex Steg managing to stay ahead of Tony Hietala at the moment for P8, but Tony, Florian and Lucas all ended up in a contact that is probably ended their chances of even a sniffer at podium or race victory now. As we now go back to the battle for the lead of the race. We've got Gabriel Quintino, Gabriel Santos, Stephen Vasso, Raz Imtiaz, Larry, Andrew Hortensio, Larry Tolke, all fighting this one out. As Raz Imtiaz trying to go side by side with Stephen Vasso. Stephen Vasso goes off the circuit in protest of not being given enough space. Oh, Tony retires from the session. Very unfortunate for the Haas, but Stephen Vasso moves down to P4 and P3 as diving up the inside goes Angelo D'Ortenzio on Stephen Vasso. Those two lap older hard tyres in comparison to his rivals around him at the moment has ended his race in a bit more dire straits than his rivals, because at the moment he is losing ground to Angelo D'Ortenzio going up the inside. It's Raz Imtiaz trying to make the move stick at the moment. As MTS is trying, and I mean trying to get by to the race leader Quintino, as Andrew D'Ortenzio and Santos, as Stephen Vasso, are still side by side. Andrew D'Ortenzio makes it around the outside and moves into P4. Stephen Vasso has to stick with P5 for now. 5 drivers, all line astern at the moment, but at the moment, championship in favour of Andrew D'Ortenzio, but Larry Tolke only a couple seconds behind. It is not game over for that championship, and it is certainly still on for Jensen Rosen if anything goes wrong. for Angelo D'Ortenzio, for all the drivers in front. Stephen Vasso retires from the session, and very unfortunate thing. A P6 down crash he's asking for at the moment. It is not going to end this quickly at the moment. It is now going to be Laz Imtiaz trying to get by Gabriel Quintino. Quintino leading this race since the start. Our pole sitter has now got the opportunity to push himself into try and make sure he pushes himself to the absolute limit, and the tyres now, because those tyres are not going to be as nearly as healthy as Raz Imtiaz, who's on the medium compound tyres, a softer of the range and the fresher of the range. And at the moment it is going to be Imtiaz who's going to go to the inside into the hairpin. He makes the move stick and takes the race lead away from the Aston Martin. 23 laps into this race, and we've got a few laps left, but is that going to be all she wrote for the race lead? Because those tyres on the medium runners are going to start to fade away sooner rather than later. And at the moment, it is going to be non-stop action. We go into the penultimate corner and into the final corner. Raz Imtiaz leads the way. Gabriel Quintino, Gabor Santos, Andrew D'Ortenzio, Larry Tolke, Jensen Rosen, Vortex Stig, Escavero, Taz Cockney. That's 9 drivers left in the race. A lot of them have just retired, unfortunately, due to the incidents that happened. And at the moment, he's going to continue on. Lap 24 of 29. Can, as Imtiaz, make his way into the lead. Up the inside goes Andrew D'Ortenzio, trying to get past Gabor Santos. He dives it around the hairpin. He loves those dive bombs, and he tried to make it work. Couldn't make it work that time around. DRS for Quintino, Santos, D'Ortenzio, but not for Imtiaz. As we go into the chicane, is there going to be an opportunity here for Andrew D'Ortenzio to make a move stick? No, not quite, because up the inside goes Gabor Santos, who is trying to make a move stick. There's contact between Quintino and Santos, and that has allowed Quintino, and unfortunately pulls Quintino down to P4. Santos has allowed the D'Ortenzio and Quintino through to allow Quintino to get back into position, but at the moment D'Ortenzio has been given P2, and that is not a good sign if you are Larry Tolke, who is currently in P5 without a penalty at the moment in comparison to the 3 second that is on D'Ortenzio's name, and that is going to hand the championship to Larry Tolke at the moment. However, he needs to, if you're Larry Tolke, you want to win this on track. You don't want to win this on penalty. You don't want to risk that you're not going to get a penalty, especially if you already have a warning or 2 in your pocket. At the moment, I'm not sure who has the warnings and who doesn't. But if you're D'Ortenzio, you're at the moment trying to now pull yourself away from the 3 behind, because you need that gap to Larry Tolke of 3 seconds, and you cannot give an inch at the moment. As we go through into the hairpin now, but as we start sector 2, D'Ortenzio in P2, Imtiaz P1. Very good drive from Raz Imtiaz in the RB. Can he make his way to take his first victory of the season in the finale this season? It is still not over yet. We're on lap 25 of 29 with 4 laps to go. At the moment, Quintino trying to manage and try and get back towards D'Ortenzio, but there's nothing he can do left at the moment in terms of tyres, because his tyres are certainly older than D'Ortenzio, but it's nothing they can do about Imtiaz, who is on these mediums now for 7 laps, and at the moment those tyres should be okay until the end, unless he's really ruined them in the earlier stints. But at the moment, it is not over until it's over. We're on lap 26 of 29. 4 laps to go in this season 10 Division 1 season, and we are almost out of time, as D'Ortenzio now going to be in currently P2 on track, P5 for Larry Tolke on track, but penalties will throw D'Ortenzio a couple positions down, and those crucial couple positions will cost him potentially the championship if he doesn't get a move on. At the moment, currently, He is about 1.8, 1.9 seconds ahead of Larry Tolke. Larry needs to try and get past at least Gabriel Santos and Quintino to put himself in a position where he can almost guarantee a championship at the moment. It's Jensen Rosen corner cutting for 10 seconds for severe corner cutting. I'm not sure exactly what he's done there, but he's now really caught up with Larry Tolke. And at the moment, Jensen Rosen, currently, yes, he's one of our championship contenders, but unfortunately for him, he is very late in the race, and that 10-second time penalty potentially costly. Was completely cost him for whatever happens, unless every single other driver crashes out. But at the moment, we go through towards the end of lap 26. We are now onto the final 3 laps of the season, lap 27 of 29. At the moment, we continue on with into turn 1, and at the moment Intiez 1.7 seconds out in the lead of D'Ortenzio, sitting comfortably at this stage. And at the moment it is just everyone has kind of narrowed their pace now to a point where they are at their peak performance. But is that peak performance going to drop off for anyone in these last couple of laps? Because at the moment, Larry Tolke is really in primed position at the moment, as long as he stays within 3 seconds of Angelo D'Ortenzio to claim that title. It's 3 laps to go. Is Larry Tolke's name on the title? At the moment, Imtiaz, D'Ortenzio, Quintino are our podium sitters on track. But is that going to be enough? We're going to see. Go through the hotel section for one of the last times in this race. But we've still got 2 laps to go. And at the moment, it is whether Larry Tolke has managed to keep his tyres in check at the moment. And Gabriel Quintino has gone into the pit lane. He's retired from the session. That is surprising from Quintino. He's decided, he didn't take even a P2. He's decided to retire from the session with that one on lap 27 or 29. And now with 2 laps to go, Larry Tolke is almost 3 seconds out of way. He's out of, he's almost out of the 3 second window at the moment. At the moment, Larry Tolke is very close to not being on for the championship. He needs to get on with this a little bit. At the moment, we are continuing. Puncture. I didn't see that. I moved away for the moment, and that is very unfortunate for him. And at the moment, puncture territory for these drivers. They've got to be careful if they have, if you're particularly Gabriel Santos, who had the same lap old tyres in that sense as Quintino, or similar lap old. Yeah. Very, very unfortunate. I moved away from the screen for a brief moment thinking nothing will happen, and things do still happen. I moved 1 second away, so that is ridiculous. So D'Ortenzio now leads, Intiez leads the way ahead of D'Ortenzio, but at the moment, this championship is very much out of Larry Tolke's hands. With a lap to go, he's just fallen out of that 3 second window. Is that the championship for D'Ortenzio? D'Ortenzio now got 1 lap to go. He's currently within DRS of Imtiez. At the moment, it is 1 lap to go. He's out of the 3 second window. He's currently 3.7 seconds clear of Larry Tolke. Has he just cleared it enough? Has he just done enough? As Larry Tolke's tyres, just like Raz Imtiez, gone off a cliff because those mediums are beginning to fade, and it looks like they have faded just at the right time for Angelo D'Ortenzio. It looked like it was going to be Larry Tolke who took the title, with him being so close to Angelo D'Ortenzio. But that 3 second has been overturned in terms of pace, and D'Ortenzio could be looking at a race win on track at the moment. It goes into the chicane. He's going to be held up by the RB at the moment. He's going to try and get an exit, but he couldn't quite do it. Those tyres are officially done at the moment because he's now got the DRS. Is he going to take the win on track? Because he really wants it at the moment. Imtiez will take it on penalties as long as he goes round here. He goes around the hairpin at the moment. D'Ortenzio unable to do anything as Imtiez has managed just enough to keep the race lead as things stand, but Hortensio has done enough to overturn that 3 seconds in the last 2 laps. Those tyres on the medium runners have both suddenly fallen off, and at the moment that has completely cost Larry Tolke, because around the final couple of corners, yes, it is Raz Imtiaz to take the final round victory of the season, but it's Angelo D'Ortenzio who takes the crown at the end of the season, and he will take it ahead of Larry Tolke by just 1.6 seconds at the end of that one. Well, and takes the final podium spot. Gabriel Santos take P2, then head of D'Ortenzio, who is now our Season 10 Division 1 champion. Congratulations to Angelo D'Ortenzio. Unlucky to Larry Dolke. Very good driving from both of them all season. But it is Angelo D'Ortenzio who takes the title. Whew. That is race over, and we didn't get stuck in the loading screen, so I'm going to quickly actually go to our screens quickly. Raz Imtiaz takes the race win ahead of Gabriel Santos. Angelo D'Ortenzio in P3 and takes the championship, while Larry Tolke in P4. P5 for Sviltek Steg, P6 for Alex Cavera, P7 for Thomas Cockney, P8 for Jensen Rosen. Well, Gary Coutinho retired in the last couple of laps, but finished P9. P10 for Lucas Bassiner, who's DNF's Vasso, Paffenzelter, here Taylor, Lindhart, Roberts, Stevens, and Alan Doyle in racing anyway. Norris Batten, Rinelli, and Damien Carril. Oh, all our drivers tonight. And that is this session done. I need to sport them. Thank you. And that is all the session done. Raz MTS takes victory, but it's Angelo D'Ortenzio who takes the title. Congratulations to both. And that is season 10 done. Whew. What a season. A lot of season where it had a lot of ups and downs. And that, thank you. It's everything done. Oh, I don't know what to say. That is everything done. Congratulations, Angelo D'Ortenzio. Unlucky to Larry, but that is the season 10 done. We're back for CS11 as that gets announced in a few months' time. Join our Discord. Keep an eye on our socials as we announce things for our next season. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you